I was out, didn't do Clay and Buck or OutKick the show, didn't do any Fox News telecast. Instead, I was invited to speak on a panel about gender roles and the election at the University of Chicago. I appreciate the invite. I spoke to a University of Chicago class in Milwaukee. The panel got fiery. I would encourage all of you to go read it. Go watch it. It's up on YouTube. I believe it is linked on OutKick. I know it is linked on clayandbuck.com. It's on my Twitter feed. It's about an hour and 15 minutes. Spicy at times, but I think interesting conversation that took place. We're going to share multiple clips with you. I've got 2 of them here. There are still others that I think should be out there. But the first one, I believe, is me asking the question. We were discussing, so a little bit of a background. Why did young men overwhelmingly vote for Trump? And also, why did men in general overwhelmingly vote for Trump? And why are Democrats having difficulty trying to figure out how to talk to men? Here is me. I believe this clip is me asking the question, who is the most masculine Democrat? Enjoy.
Who is the most masculine Democrat right now in America? Mayor Pete.
Is that a gay joke?
No. Mayor Pete. No. Well, no, it's just that he's not particularly masculine. Nobody's like, oh, Mayor Pete, he's a badass. Chuck Schumer. Is anybody like, hey, Chuck Schumer holding up an avocado and a beer to talk about the Super Bowl? Is anybody like that trying to grill? Is anybody like, hey, that's a dude I want to hang out with?
But Trump's like a grandpa.
Well, hold on.
Yeah.
Trump took a bullet in his ear and immediately stood up and said, fight, fight, fight. Every man in America and most of the women out here were impressed by that, even if the women won't admit it. She's shaking her head strong.
All right. I don't know who the answer is. Maybe Fetterman, senator from Pennsylvania, is the best answer. But I think if you run across the litany of the Democrat Party, what you run into, some of you are saying, hey, the most masculine Democrat's actually a woman, Michelle Obama or Amy Klobuchar or Gretchen Whitmer. I mean, in the comments. But I think if that's true, it speaks to a major issue that the Democrat Party has, which is they don't know how to talk to men. And I think one of the primary reasons they have connecting with men is because it is a female-dominated party and it is an identity politics-dominated party. Now, they know they have the issue. The problem is Tim Walz was their answer. And Tim Walz, I told you this from the get-go, Minnesota governor, walking around in a camouflage cap, claiming that he likes to go out and hunt, high school football coach. Remember, they called him Coach Walz. They didn't even call him Governor Walz. They know that they have the issue. The problem they have is they don't know how to fix or address their issue. And so I think the challenge that is embodied out there is right now Trump has a 60% approval in the CBS poll for men that came out on Monday. On top of that, Trump also, I guess it was Sunday it came out, Trump also has a plus 10 rating among voters under 30. And significantly, the biggest group swinging in his direction from 2020 to 2024 was young men, which swung about 27 points. The 2 groups that voted most for Trump in America were men over 65 and young men 18 to 24. That's pretty remarkable according to some of the data that's out there. So why are young men moving towards Trump? I think it is so indicative here is they're angry. They're angry over the lies that they have been told, in particular COVID, which I think is a lingering wound and a lingering anger that it impacts many young boys and girls out there who were kids when they went through COVID. And I believe we have that clip as well. This is me at the University of Chicago Tuesday night speaking to an audience, several hundred kids. And remind me, because I'm not going to hear it, text me what the topic is of this one because I don't have my notes from yesterday. I can't remember which one we played. This is one of the clips that we shared. It's up on YouTube. I encourage you to go watch the whole hour 15. This is me at the University of Chicago. A lot of these clips have actually started to go mega viral. This is talking about why young men respond so much to Donald Trump, because they're angry over what happened to them with COVID. Listen.
I think for young people, they feel like they've been lied to. One of the guys that brought me here today said COVID shut down his school in March of 2020, and most of the kids in his school, he's a junior, didn't ever return to school. We failed an entire generation of young people. And I think when you have lived through that, you have a lot less credit and faith in the government, just like historically. I think COVID for this generation of young men in particular, who got locked up, who weren't allowed to play sports, all of this, they're angry. And when they see Trump, he seems like an avatar for their anger.
All right, that all is up at on YouTube. I encourage you to go check out the full discussion, because I do think it was interesting. And again, thanks to the University of Chicago for having me. One of the topics, the primary topic of the conversation, was gender roles and how it had impacted the 2024 election. And I think that young men who swung massively to Trump over Kamala in 2024 compared to Trump v. Biden are going to continue to move further to the right. And I think COVID is a big reason why. The other thing, and I talked about this some at the University of Chicago, but I want to make this analogy because I think it's really important. The other thing is Democrats are aware that they have an issue with men. CBS poll Sunday, Super Bowl Sunday, men supported Trump 60-40. I don't remember the last time I saw 60% of either sex in favor of men in favor of one candidate. And you saw Trump get cheered at the Super Bowl, which I thought was fairly significant. Why is all of this happening? Because Democrats don't have a masculine man that is at the top of the ticket that voters respond to well. And they know that they have an issue here. The problem they have, and I'm going to make an analogy for you here, is Democrats lack the understanding of how to speak to a man to such an extent that they thought Tim Walz was the answer to their man question. And they trotted out all their media to say, oh, look, he wears camouflage. Oh, look, he goes hunting. Oh, he wears boots. Oh, he's a former football coach. The problem they have is Tim Walz appeals to men like the 40-year-old virgin appealed to people who have sex. Do you remember that scene? And I bet on social we can clip this, where Steve Carell's character tries to pretend how much he likes having sex with women and starts talking about what he likes best about the female body, and everybody else in the room starts looking askance at him because he doesn't sound like a normal dude at all. And the more he talks, the more he fails to connect in a normal way with everybody in the room. That's Democrats with the men that they pick to try to appeal to men. They don't even have the ability to talk to men in a normal way. And so even recognizing they have a male problem, they don't know how to fix it. They think somebody like Doug Emhoff is the answer. Remember when he was the new model of masculinity? They think that somebody like Tim Walz is the model of masculinity. They're just fundamentally wrong. And in a humorous way, Democrats talk to men like Steve Carell in 40-Year-Old Virgin talked about how much he liked women and how much he liked to have sex. They don't know how to translate and speak normal ease to men.